Then it became a habit. Now it appears I miss something I don't have. That's the thing.
So what you are by profession?
I'm an engineer from UVCE.
Okay.
A long time, like 65. And I used to work for some Swedish companies.
Swedish.
There's a company called Alfa Laval in Pune.
Okay. In Pune.
I worked with them. Then I worked with another Swedish company called Winco, West India Match Company. People who make your home lights, cheetah lights.
Right.
It's a Swedish company.
So you are electronic engineer.
No. Those days there was no electronic. There were only mechanical, electrical and civil. So I'm a mechanical.
Great. So you look after mechanical things of the any part of the.
Long time back. Now I worked till I was about 67 years. Then I called halt to my professional career.
Right.
I'm 84 years old.
Oh, but you are self-fit.
No, you see, I was COVID positive. So I was in hospital
Okay.
for 2 weeks, including 1 week in ICU. So in the process, either on account of that or on account of my age, the artery before it gets diverted to the legs for blood flow, either has thickened or there is clot. So the result, blood flow in my legs is less. So that's why I walk very slow. I can't exert my legs. But I work. I come in the evening.
So every day you come here.
Morning,
Evening or morning?
Both the times.
Both the times. Great. You stay nearby?
I just stay here. You see the post office there?
Huh.
One street ahead of that. So
Oh, great. So you live at a nice place. It's Kashmir Nagar.
we are blessed.
I like this place a lot.
No, it's one of the better developed parks in Bangalore. And it's large enough for you to indulge in
Right.
morning walk. It's not one of those small parks where you go around and around.
Right.
Because one end to another end is about 1.75 kilometers. So one trip will be around 3.5 kilometers. And that's good enough for morning.
Yeah, so I did one running from there to there, again there.
So that's 3.5 kilometers.
So whenever I get time, I come, I run.
What do you do?
So I'm working with the company building material. We manufacture wall cladding products.
You manufacture
Wall cladding products.
wall cladding.
Yeah, these are decorative items for your facades. So I'm from Maharashtra. The company is based in Mumbai. I always wanted to explore South region.
I joined Alfa Laval in Bombay way back in 67.
Okay.
And the entire department got shifted to Pune. That's how I came to Pune. But then from Wimco, I went back to Bombay for about 7 years. I was in Rotterdam. Earlier to that, for about 5-6 years, I worked in Ambernath, which is in between Bombay and Pune.
Pune.
My son is born in Bombay. My daughter is born in Pune.
Oh, so you traveled in different geographies altogether.
Different stations, 2 jobs.
Did you enjoy?
Oh yes,
And
I
Pune and
enjoyed-
Mumbai.
Yes.
But
And towards the end of my career, I was in Wimco headquarters in Ballard Estate, and they were nice enough to give me an apartment in Beach Kandi.
Great.
Stayed in Beach Kandi.
Swedish company, right? They're always good.
Yeah, you see, they came to know. You might say that, look, what is it that you are talking of? A low technology product like matchbox. But if you really see the processes that are involved, there are many processes that are involved, and they came to India as early as 1923, long before independence. And they stayed in India for about 90 years.
90 years.
And then sometime in 2010 or so, they sold the industry to ITC. If you see now, even the so since the brands have been there for over 80 years, even after ITC has acquired, the brand name has remained as Cheetah.
Okay.
you still find Winco logo.
Winco.
It's they get done now through cottage industry. It's there at the back, marketed by ITC. But at the front, if you see the same brand, Cheetah Bike remains, and Winco logo also remains.
Oh.
Because people won't give up the brands which are well established very
Right.
easily.
Not at all. They have the trust.
See, the one classic example of that is, if you see Parle G,
Yes.
Parle G, it is owned by one Chavan.
Hmm.
His elder brother Ramesh Chavan,
Hmm.
he had a drinks factory in Bombay,
Okay.
like your
Ramesh Chavan.
Ramesh Chavan,
Hmm.
like your Limca,
Hmm.
then your Thumbs Up,
Hmm.
all those things. Now, see, in 1977, under Morarji Desai's government, after Indira Gandhi lost her elections, George Fernandez, as an industries minister, wanted to drive out all foreign companies. So he threw out IBM, he threw out Coca-Cola. So Ramesh Chavan was principal in ensuring that Coca-Cola was thrown out.
Okay.
But in 1991, when Manmohan Singh opened the economy for foreign companies and Coca-Cola came back,
Came back.
he was the first guy to sell his company to Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Right? All because, you see, in spite of the fact that Coca-Cola and Pepsi are well-known brands, everybody wants to keep his brand at the top of recall.
Right.
So in spite of that, they spend hundreds of crores on advertisement. Who doesn't know Pepsi? Who doesn't know Coca-Cola? Still you will find their advertisement.
Yes.
Whereas Chavan cannot spend 100 crores on advertisement.
Hmm.
So he had to compete with them.
Right.
Instead of that, at a huge profit, he sold his company to Coca-Cola. So that is how Coca-Cola has still retained Limca, has still retained Thumbs Up in Bombay. Because these products are extremely well established in Bombay.
In Bombay.
You replace, people can migrate to Pepsi.
Yes.
There is no need for them to stick to the same brand. If you change the name. So that's how the brand loyalty exists. So we have a situation where, since Cheetah Fight is known for 80 years, the housewife will still prefer to have Cheetah Fight. So the brand name still remains. So is the case if you go to Bombay, a brand called Ship exists. If you go to Vijayawada, a brand called Three Mangoes exists. So all these brands were created by Winco in 1920s.
So they are from long time. And how long you worked with them?
17 years.
17 years.
And I retired from them as Vice President Operations.
Operations. So you used to
See,
look
we
after-
had 5 factories established over a period of just 5 years. They were low productive factories, but you see, they established 5 factories between 1923 and 1929. One in Ambernath, which is the starting point, one in Madras, one in Calcutta, one in Bareilly, and one other place called Dhubri in Assam. See, since it was a wood-based product, at that time the government allotted to them certain amount of forest land to use the material. Because those days, see, even today, Matchbox is a well-needed product. In spite of 5 factories, the consumption is so high, in spite of 5 factories going on full production, our market share was only 15%.
Oh.
The rest comes from Shivakashi, Satpur, Kavilputtu, cottage industry.
Matches box as in this matches box.
See, the explosion of printing industry came because till about 1978, substitute to wood had not been found. From 1978 onwards, since the forest wealth started decreasing, and you need a specific variety of timber for matches making, we had to develop cardboard.
Right.
So now today, cardboard is used for the boxes, but stick still remains as wood.
Right.
So when the cardboard came up, you wanted a printing industry. So Shivakashi was developed as a printing industry. That's why Shivakashi today is one of the foremost places for printing industry. They have the most modern printing machines, 5 color, 6 color, automated printing machines.
Shivakashi.
It's a place in, see, Tamil Nadu, if I say that I was producing 15%, the balance 85% has to be met by the cottage. So out of 85, cottage industry in Tamil Nadu would produce something like 75%. The only balance 10% somewhere in Andhra, somewhere in West Bengal used to be.
But the rest is Tamil Nadu.
Now, of course, you see, the government of India was so poverty-stricken, they used to even levy excise duty on a box that sells at 25 paisa. So we used to pay 6 paisa as excise duty in a product that sells at 25 paisa, which means 25% is the excise duty that you pay. So because of that, cottage industries did not mechanize, because mechanized industry had higher rate of excise. So now excise duty has been abolished. So cottage industry has also mechanized the operations. Otherwise, it was a place well known for child labor exploitation. Now, of course, industry is mechanized, excise duty is removed. Then, once the excise duty is removed, IMCO didn't find it any longer profitable to stay in India. So they sold their interest at the ITC.
ITC. They sold the company to ITC. And ITC owned by?
ITC is owned by British Tobacco.
Okay. So that's again not an Indian company. So what it is making that Indian companies are not going on that level?
See, the chances are what happens is these consumer products are not very expensive. Consumption is very high. Right? See, it's not that people like, let's say, Metal Box or Hindustan Lever or Colgate or Vimco, they didn't come to India because they loved India. They came to India because the consumption was very high.
Right.
In their own countries, consumption is very small. Survival becomes a problem.
Right.
So they came to India where consumption is very high. So products became popular. And one extraordinarily interesting thing that they did was to develop the market in the interior places also, which Indian companies would not do. See, you can see Anasin in one of the remotest places.
Right.
Right? So with the result, they came here, consumption was very high, they established themselves. Later on they found not Vimco, but let's say you say Colgate. Colgate doesn't have any industry of their own, everything is found out. Outsourced. Britannia doesn't have a factory of their own.
Right.
Everything is outsourced, only thing is they supply the raw materials because they are required in bulk quantities. Because it's not one source, outsource one source working. There will be some 15-20 sources.
Yes.
North is different, south is different, east is different, west is different. So since you need raw materials in bulk quantities, they supply the raw materials. They put a man for their quality control.
Right.
Make sure that the product is available at a lower price. And because your brand is well established, your markup is high.
Right. Markup is high.
See, they don't want to have their own industries and run into problems like union labor, provident fund, right? They don't want to commit themselves to all that. So they outsource. They have their offices, regional offices, head office. They have their offices. Outsource the materials. Put a quality tag. Brand is well known. Mark up your products.
Right.
See, between Parle G, I don't know, I worked for a company after coming to Bangalore, making biscuits for Britannia.
Britannia?
Yes. It's a farmed out company.
Okay.
This is, let's say, 20 years back. So at that time, between Parle and Britannia, they had 85% of urban market.
Urban market only.
Because local market, they make their own biscuits.
Right.
From local, there are no industries in
Right.
villages. But handmade industry, you must have saw that animal biscuits and so many others they made in their own cheap variety, which is sold in villages. So in urban areas they are not sold much. So these two chaps had, then ITC came up with biscuits. So they took a part of the 15% that is left. So some 20 years back, Parle G had something like 28,000 tons of product per month. Now it may be 100,000. I don't know. So Parle G is such a well-known product. So at that time, Britannia also had a product called Tiger, equivalent to Parle G. Now they have gone out of Tiger because Parle G and Tiger are all poor man's product. They are only made in quantity, they don't generate any. So there is no point in wasting money when you have higher brand fetching you money. So Parle have gone out of Tiger. Sorry, not Parle, Britannia have gone out of Tiger. Now Parle G have a huge market and even in export.
Yes.
So they survive and they don't even have to declare their profits because it's a private company. I don't think it's a listed company.
It's private company. Still, no, we cannot find anything about them.
So if it is a listed company, you will have to declare your results. Declare what you make. They don't do that because it's not a listed company.
And this is owned by Ramesh Chavan. But he
It is-
sold,
no,
right?
no, not Ramesh Chavan. Ramesh Chavan's brother, Prakash Chavan. Prakash Chavan also. Ramesh Chavan, he still has that fruity.
Oh,
Mango,
Maaza.
Maaza. So he still has that factory.
Prakash Chavan.
But that factory, no, Ramesh Chavan.
Ramesh Chavan.
That factory is in Alibag. So Prakash Chavan also is the one who has Parle G.
So it is only the marketing game.
That's all.
That's all. You manufacture, don't manufacture, that doesn't matter.
See, the technology is very little. See, since these products are in existence, let's say, as I said, Inco has been in existence for 19 years.
20 years.
People would have done their best to improve the quality of the product
Right.
and consumption of materials over a long time period. Other than controlling the quality, there is not much that you can do in the factories.
Right.
So it is merely a marketing
Game.
activity. Where do you increase your foothold where you don't exist? Right? How do you increase your foothold where you don't exist? Where do you increase your foothold where you exist?
So you look after marketing again.
I was a profit center. That means we used to work on the basis each factory is given certain geographical area. So you are responsible for everything, marketing, production, quality, IR, all that. Bottom line is your responsibility for that region. So I used to handle out of 3 regions. So I had a situation where I was handling 100 crores of a product that sells at 40 paisa.
40 paisa.
Matchbox used to sell at 40 paisa.
40 paisa.
And we were generating we were generating 180 crores business.
Mostly, you see,
Out of that, 100 crores were done by 3 factories. So I used to look after those. Each factory has about 700 to 800 workers.
Oh, 7 to 800 workers.
And these factories were established between 1923 and 1929, where power was not available from power plants. Transportation of people was a problem.
Yes.
So they not only established these factories, they also built colonies for workers and colonies for managers.
To stay there only.
Because it's a fire-prone factory. They needed senior managers to close by. So they established colonies. They established colonies for workers. They generated their own power. So it was highly enterprising company.
Now, since you have a good experience, I am also trying to set up my own business. Okay. I'm working with the company for last 5 years. Okay. I am just understanding the market. I have understood the market of Maharashtra, rest of Maharashtra. I used to work from Pune. I was looking after rest of Maharashtra. Now I'm looking after entire South region. Even I look after projects where I travel to Delhi, Indore, and everywhere.
But is it physical or only online sales?
No, it's physical sales. So in a project, we have to go meet architects, we have to meet builders, and then pitch our product, and then get it specified in the project. And
So
then
it's a
sell it.
part of interior decoration.
Exterior, interior as well as exterior, but most of the volume comes from exterior. Like if you see that the cladding, the brick texture, so that we manufacture. So that's currently I'm working for.
Where
that
is the factory in
The
Bombay?
factory Bhiwandi.
Huh?
Bhiwandi. So down the line, 2 years later, I'll be starting my own thing.
Are you from Bangalore?
I'm from Kolhapur, Maharashtra.
See, long time before NDDB, National Dairy Development Board came, dairy development was a part of the social activity for respective state governments. They provided funds in their budgets. National Dairy Development came much later. So dairy was a second source of income for farmers. So dairies came up mostly in villages.
Right.
So I have traveled a lot in interior and like Miraj, Dhulia,
Right.
Randa, Beej, Nanded, Udgir. I have done a lot of interior traveling in Maharashtra. Those were the days, you see, this interior factories were so located. The villages didn't have a proper hotel to stay, a proper hotel for your lunch. You ate whatever was available. You stayed wherever you have stayed on the bus stand of Chiploon.
And it was like 20 years, 15 years back.
40 years.
40 years back. Oh.
Even earlier, 67.
So today it is not even that much developed.
Amravati, Akola.
So what do you think? What product? Like if I want to start doing
Sir,
only
you see,
marketing.
I have not started my factory, but this is my thinking. When somebody wants to start a factory, first and foremost, identifying a product is extremely important. It should not be a product which is already available in the market and from umpteen manufacturers. Because when you come new, then you will have to fight these established industries. If you want to fight against them, you can only fight on two grounds. One, your quality is better than theirs, and your price is lower than theirs. Otherwise, why should people migrate from existing industries and come to you?
Right.
Unless your product quality is better, your product quality is cheaper. So therefore, identification of product is number one. Number two is market. Right? Do you have a market for the product that you develop? You need additional market beyond what is already existing. Third is finance. Production is not a problem at all. There are umpteen number of people who can come and join. So production is not the issue. So if you have identified a product, if it is an import substitute, it's very nice, right? Because it will readily find a market if it is an import substitute. If not, your product identification is the fundamental idea. Because there are any number of small-scale industries who start, there is no market for them for the initial 1 or 2 years because You have to survive on the funding that you get,
Right.
either from bank or non-banking financial institutions or your own money. So first year or two, you must be able to sustain financially. You cannot depend on sales.
Sales. Right.
Right? You must have that kind of financial backing. There are any number of industries who fold up at the end of 2 years because they don't have money and they have not been able to establish it. Now, if you have established yourself only, let's say, as a mechanical engineer, in a job industry, it's different because you are not producing anything other than to a specific customer. So therefore, even for the small scale industries that operate, they must be in a, like I say, that look, Wimco was producing only 15%. Why didn't Wimco invest a few more factories in that?
Right.
The product was so low priced, it was difficult to compete with cottage.
Hmm.
They have low child labor rates.
Right.
All my expenses were indirect. At direct level, I was cheaper than them because I buy in bulk.
Hmm.
There are 7,000 cottage industries competing against one Wimco. So 7,000 guys buy in small quantities. So it's not economical for an individual to buy.
Right.
While I buy for 5 factories in bulk. So in direct costs, I was cheaper than them. But my indirect costs were high because I have a maintenance crew. Right? I have an accounts department. I have a department for quality control. Right? I have managers overseeing the production. So my indirects were very high. There, one man is responsible everything. He is the banker, he is the manager, he is the quality controller, he is everything. So for a small scale industry also, that look, one man becomes the operating chief.
Right.
Right? So that one man must be able to survive in the initial stages, a month or two, depending upon how his product moves. So cottage industry can survive only if you are cheaper than the established market.
Right.
And you give a better quality. Or you produce more than what the existing industries can cater to the market.
Right.
So the market demand is so high, the existing industries cannot cater to that. So you have a vacancy.
Right.
You can cater to that. Now, if you have done your survey well enough that you can overcome all these factors, go ahead.
Then go ahead.
So, but please establish yourself well that you have a market for them.
Right.
You will produce cheaper than existing markets.
And give a better quality than that.
And you have the better, and you have a market reach.
Yeah, that's most important. Even though you don't manufacture, but you should have reach.
And you see, consumer products, what happens? You see, there are products where customer is very specific.
Right.
See, a man who smokes Wells filter, if Wells filter is not available in one shop, he doesn't buy any other cigarette and smoke. He will go to a next shop for Wells filter only, select Wells filter. Whereas matches is not that. What is the simple use of matches? It has to light.
Right. It has to like.
Nothing beyond that. See, a housewife is wedded to a brand. A smoker is not wedded to a brand.
Right.
For smoker, whatever is available, right, because all that it has to do is light, he will buy. But if you analyze in urban areas, smokers market constitutes something like 40%. Because for every cigarette, there are 12 BDs that are made.
Right.
So the consumption is very high. And he is not addicted to any brand. So in products like that, distribution becomes extremely important. There is not much of sales involved. Your products are so well, they sell themselves.
Right.
Right? See, Colgate does not have to do all of propaganda.
No.
Though you see Colgate, so you see Sensodyne advertisements
Yes.
on TV.
Pepsodent
You see
and
Colgate advertisements in TV. Colgate doesn't have to advertise so much, but because they have 2 or 3 brands, all that you have to do is make sure that Colgate is available in every part of Bangalore.
yes, distribution is
Distribution is
network.
the network is the most important in a product which sells by itself. That is why they give you very low margin, 0.5%, 1% margin. Because the bulk sales take place,
Yes, well, sir.
they want a distributor. Right, sir? I'll make a move.
All right.